Are you seriously telling me that not a single human has been successfully assassinated by the Guild in over 50 years? Ambassador Kirix clicked his mandibles in disbelief, all four eyes fixed on the holographic report floating between them. Not one, replied Director Madison, leaning back in her chair with a slight smirk. Though, trust me, they've tried. The Guild has lost more operatives attempting to eliminate humans than all other species combined. The ambassador's carapace flushed a deeper shade of blue, the Aryan equivalent of a frustrated blush. But that's impossible. The Guild has a 99.8% success rate across all known sentient species. They've taken down Moravian hive queens, Zanari psychics, even those crystalline beings from Riel -7. How can humans be? Let me tell you a story, Madison interrupted, pulling up another hologram. This one showed security footage from about 15 years ago. See that guy right there? That's Derek Thompson, night janitor at the Milwaukee Public Library. The Guild sent their top operative, the legendary Shadow of 7 Moons, to take him out. Want to know what happened? Kirix leaned forward, fascinated despite himself. Derek had just finished mopping the 3rd floor when the Shadow made his move. This assassin had centuries of experience, cybernetic enhancements worth more than most planets' GDPs, and enough deadly toxins in his system to kill a small army. He'd never failed a contract. The footage played, showing a middle-aged man in coveralls whistling as he pushed his mop bucket. The Shadow dropped from the ceiling, silent as space itself. Perfect form, perfect timing. But Derek slipped on his own wet floor, stumbled backward, and accidentally clotheslined the galaxy's deadliest assassin with his mop handle. Kirix's mandibles dropped open. You're joking. Oh. It gets better, Madison chuckled. The Shadow went flying, crashed into a book cart, and got buried under an avalanche of romance novels. Knocked himself out cold. Derek just assumed some kid had been sleeping in the library again, called security to help the poor fellow, and went right back to mopping. But that's just luck, Kirix protested. That's what we thought too at first, Madison admitted. But then it kept happening, over and over. The Guild sent their best, their brightest, their most lethal land every single time. Something ridiculous would happen. One assassin slipped on a banana peelan, actual banana peeland, fell out a window into a passing garbage transport. Another got taken out by a stray frisbee during a park assassination attempt. My personal favorite was the one who tried to poison a target's coffee, only to discover humans drink their coffee so hot it destroyed the molecular structure of the toxin. Madison pulled up more footage, showing a montage of increasingly absurd failed assassination attempts. The Guild started calling it the human factor. They tried everything: probability manipulation, quantum targeting, even time loops. Nothing worked. If anything, the more complex the assassination plot, the more spectacularly it would backfire. But there must be a scientific explanation, Kirix insisted, his scientific training warring with what he was seeing. Oh, we've had every expert in the galaxy study it, Madison said. The leading theory? Humans are just too weird. We're walking chaos generators, perpetually stumbling through life in ways that defy probability itself. The universe seems to bend around our sheer, stupid luck. She gestured at another hologram, this one showing statistical analyses. Did you know humans are the only known species that regularly survives things that should be 100% fatal? We've had people fall from orbit and walk away with a headache. People who've been officially dead for hours just deciding to wake up and complain about missing lunch. The Guild's sophisticated assassination plans don't fail because they're flawed. They fail because humans are fundamentally glitched. Kirix stared at the data, his scientific worldview crumbling. This changes everything. The diplomatic implications alone. Yeah, funny how nobody wants to start a war with the species that can't be assassinated. Madison grinned. But here's the real kicker. Want to know the Guild's current policy on human contracts? The ambassador nodded weakly. They'll still take the money, but instead of sending assassins, they just send a strongly worded letter suggesting the target should maybe consider having an accident. Apparently, it's more cost-effective. A letter? Kirix's voice rose several octaves. The deadliest organization in the galaxy sends a letter? With a very polite please and everything, Madison confirmed, thoroughly enjoying the ambassador's existential crisis. They even include safety tips, since most humans are more likely to accidentally kill themselves than be successfully assassinated. It's actually reduced our mortality rates. Turns out the galaxy's most deadly assassins give great advice about watching your cholesterol and wearing sunscreen. Kirik slumped in his chair, all four eyes glazed. I need a drink. Careful with that, Madison warned. Human alcohol once sent 3 guild assassins to the hospital. They tried to poison a target's whiskey and made the mistake of testing it first. Turns out what we drink for fun is classified as a military-grade neurotoxin on most worlds. You're enjoying this far too much, the ambassador grumbled. Hey, when you're part of a species that accidentally conquered death by being too chaotic to kill properly, you learn to appreciate the humor in it, Madison said, standing and stretching. Come on, I'll buy you a drink non-toxic version, promise, and I'll tell you about the time a guild assassin tried to take out a human diplomat during a golf game. What's golf? Oh, you're going to love this. As they left the office, Kirik couldn't help but notice that Madison seemed to trip on absolutely nothing, stumble forward, and somehow catch herself in a way that perfectly avoided the cleaning drone that zoomed through the space where her head would have been. She hadn't even noticed. The ambassador made a mental note to update his species' official policy on human relations. The new classification would read, "Approach with caution not because they're dangerous, but because the laws of probability throw a tantrum whenever they're around." Somewhere in the galaxy, in an office that technically didn't exist, the guild's board of directors was having their weekly meeting. On the agenda, yet another failed human assassination attempt. So let me get this straight. The chair, being said, all 7 of its appendages massaging its temples. Our operative's perfect plan was ruined because the target's cat knocked over a plant, which startled a bird, which flew into a delivery drone, which crashed into a power line, which caused a blackout, which triggered a backup generator, which overloaded and launched a manhole cover into the air, which then, the junior agent consulted his notes, perfectly intercepted our operative's plasma bolt, and reflected it back at him. And the human complained about the power outage ruining their video game progress and ordered pizza. The chair being stared into the middle distance for a long moment. Right. New policy. If anyone even suggests taking a human contract, they have to watch the compiled footage of our previous attempts first, all 47,000 hours of it. But sir, that's cruel. So is watching our best assassins get taken out by random chance in cat videos, the chair being shuddered. I still have nightmares about the Roomba incident. The junior agent winced. Nobody talks about the Roomba incident. Meanwhile, back in Milwaukee, Derek Thompson was still happily mopping floors at the public library, blissfully unaware that he was considered one of the most unkillable beings in the galaxy. He'd recently received another one of those strange letters suggesting he watch his step on ladders and maybe consider eating more vegetables. Such nice folks, he muttered, pinning it to his refrigerator next to the others. Writing to warn me about the dangers of high cholesterol. Don't get that kind of personal attention much these days. He turned back to his crossword puzzle, accidentally avoiding 3 separate death traps, 2 temporal paradoxes, and a quantum assassination attempt simply by deciding to make a sandwich at exactly the right moment. The universe watched, sighed, and added another tally to the failed attempts column. Some species were just too weird to kill. 6 months after the conversation between Madison and Ambassador Kirik, the Galactic Council held an emergency session. The topic, the human problem, as it had come to be known. Order, order. The Council's Supreme Chancellor Vac banged his gravitational gavel, sending ripples of silence through the chamber. We are here to discuss the unprecedented situation regarding human integration into galactic society. A Zanari representative floated forward, their crystalline form shimmering with anxiety. Supreme Chancellor, my people demand action. 3 of our most prestigious probability architects attempted to calculate human behavior patterns last week. All 3 experienced complete mental breakdowns. One of them is now convinced they're a quantum toaster. The chair recognizes the concerns of the Zanari collective, Vac said. However, if I may interrupt, a new voice cut in. The assembled delegates turned to see Director Madison strolling into the chamber, casually sipping from a takeout coffee cup. Several delegates instinctively flinched, knowing that human beverages were classified as weapons of mass destruction on most worlds. Director Madison, Vac acknowledged, trying to hide his nervousness. This is a closed session. Oh, I know, Madison grinned. I got lost looking for the bathroom and accidentally found a secret passage behind a vending machine. Funny how that happens, right? The entire chamber fell silent. Everyone present knew that the council's security systems were supposedly impenetrable. The fact that a human had wandered in by accident was disturbingly on brand. Since I'm here, Madison continued, maybe I can help clear up some misconceptions. You're all worried about humans destabilizing galactic society, right? Your species defies probability itself. The Zanari representative vibrated in agitation. Just last week, a human tourist visited our quantum gardens. They tripped, fell through 17 probability barriers, and accidentally solved a mathematical theorem that had stumped our greatest minds for centuries. Did they now? Madison raised an eyebrow. Let me guess they wrote it down on a napkin while eating lunch. A pizza box. The Zanari admitted miserably. They were using it to calculate the tip. Madison tried not to laugh, she really did, but the sight of the galaxy's most sophisticated mathematical minds being outdone by someone's pizza math was too much. It's not funny, another delegate burst out. Do you know what happened when humans joined the Galactic Olympics? The quantum finishing lines got confused. They couldn't tell if humans were actually winning or just accidentally ending up in first place through improbable series of events. Hey, that pole vaulter only landed on the winner's podium because he was running away from a bee, Madison protested. Not our fault. He set a new galactic record in the process. The council chamber erupted in chaos, with delegates shouting over each other about various human-induced probability disasters. Madison calmly sipped her coffee, waiting for the noise to die down. Silence. Vax's gavel created actual gravitational waves this time. Director Madison, surely you must understand our concerns. Your species is disrupting the natural order. Are we, though? Madison set down her coffee. Or are we just showing you that the universe is weirder than you thought? Yes, humans seem to bend probability. Yes, we accidentally solve impossible problems while trying to figure out pizza tips. And yes, sometimes we stumble through quantum barriers because we're not paying attention to where we're going. But has anyone considered that maybe this is how the universe is supposed to work? She gestured broadly at the assembled delegates. You all tried to make sense of the cosmos by creating rules and systems and probabilities. Humans, we just kind of wing it. And somehow that works better than all your careful calculations. That's precisely the problem, the Zanari representative chimed in. You can't just wing it through space-time. Watch us, Madison winked. She was interrupted by an alarm blaring through the chamber. Red lights began flashing as a computerized voice announced. Warning, quantum core destabilization detected. Catastrophic reality failure imminent. The delegates panicked, some trying to flee, others frozen in terror. Only Madison seemed unmoved, continuing to sip her coffee. Oh yeah, she mentioned casually. I should probably tell you that I spilled some of this coffee on a quantum processor on my way in. Might want to look into that. The quantum core is beyond saving, someone screamed. We need to evacuate the entire sector. Or, Madison suggested, you could try turning it off and on again. The chamber fell silent once more, this time in sheer disbelief. That's not how quantum processors work, Vax stated flatly. You sure about that? Madison asked. Because I'm pretty sure my coffee created a caffeine-powered quantum tunnel that's currently connecting the processor to a high school computer lab in Pittsburgh, circa 1995. And you know what they taught us about computers in 1995? She walked over to the main control panel, found the power button, and pressed it. Then waited 30 seconds and pressed it again. The alarm stopped. The red lights faded. The quantum core's status returned to normal. Sometimes, Madison addressed the stunned silence. The simplest solution is the right one even if it doesn't make sense, especially if it doesn't make sense. She finished her coffee and tossed the cup into a nearby recycling bin. It bounced off 3 different surfaces before landing perfectly. Now, if you'll excuse me, I really do need to find that bathroom. As she left the chamber, Ambassador Kirix, who had been watching the proceedings with a mixture of horror and amusement, leaned over to his aide. Add another line to our policy on humans, he whispered. Do not, under any circumstances, let them near quantum technology with beverages, and maybe start researching what this turning it off and on again technique is. Could be useful. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Derek Thompson was having another normal day at the library. He'd just received another letter from his mysterious pen pals, this one warning him about the dangers of quantum radiation exposure while using the microwave. Huh, he mused, reading it during his lunch break. Never thought about standing back from the microwave before. These folks think of everything. He took 3 steps back from the break room microwave, unknowingly avoiding a temporal rift that would have sent him to the Jurassic period. His cup of noodles finished heating without incident. The Guild's latest assassination attempt involving complex quantum targeting and 3 weeks of planning had just been foiled by a safety tip they themselves had sent. The universe, as usual, pretended not to notice. The Galactic Scientific Academy was in an uproar again. I refuse to accept these findings. Professor Ixall slammed all 3 of their appendages onto the conference table. It completely contradicts everything we know about causality. Dr. Harriet Reynolds, Earth's leading expert on whatever the hell humans did to reality, officially termed Homo sapiens probability displacement theory, simply smiled and adjusted her slightly crooked glasses. The data doesn't lie, Professor. We've run the experiments thousands of times. Humans don't just bend probability, we're essentially quantum probability sponges. We absorb unlikely events like they're going out of style. She pulled up a holographic display showing various experimental results. Look at this. When we place a human in a controlled environment and introduce potential catastrophes, the improbable events don't just fail to harm them, they actively benefit from the chaos. The footage showed a test subject casually walking through what should have been a lethal obstacle course. Every trap in danger somehow transformed into an advantage. Laser beams reflected off their watch to disable security systems. Falling debris created perfect stepping stones. And random quantum fluctuations inevitably resulted in coffee and donuts materializing nearby. This defies all known laws of physics, another scientist protested. No, Dr. Reynolds corrected. It defies all known laws of physics that non-humans came up with. Has anyone considered that maybe we're observing the universe's actual behavior, and your mathematical models are the things that are wrong? The assembled aliens stared at her in horror. The suggestion that their centuries of scientific advancement might be upended by humans accidentally stumbling into a more accurate understanding of reality was distressing. But how do you explain the coffee? Professor Ixall demanded. Every human testing facility reports spontaneous coffee manifestation. It's not possible. Have you tried being really tired and really wanting coffee? Dr. Reynolds asked. Because that's our working theory. Human desire for caffeine actually warps space-time. Before anyone could respond to this heretical suggestion, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Alert! Alert! Containment breach in the quantum probability engine. Reality destabilization imminent. The alien scientist panicked, but Dr. Reynolds just checked her watch. Oh, right on schedule. That'll be Derek. Derek? The librarian? What's he doing here? Nothing, he's still in Milwaukee. But it's his lunch break, and he always heats up leftovers at exactly 12:47. The quantum probability waves from his microwave usage tend to resonate with any sensitive equipment within a few light years. She walked over to the facility's main control panel and pressed a few buttons. There we go. Crisis averted. We've learned to synchronize our systems with Derek's lunch schedule. Makes everything run smoother. The alien scientist stared at her, mandibles, tentacles, and probability sensors drooping in disbelief. You calibrated a multi-trillion credit research facility around one human's eating habits? Well, yeah, Doctor, Reynolds said. It was easier than trying to convince him to change his routine. Last time someone tried that, they accidentally created a temporal paradox that made Tuesday happen twice. Meanwhile, in a secret meeting room that technically existed in 17 dimensions simultaneously, the Guild's board of directors was reviewing their latest financial reports. This is unprecedented. The chair, being announced. Our revenue has increased 300% since we started sending warning letters instead of assassins to human targets. Turns out humans really appreciate health and safety tips, the junior agent explained. They've started a subscription service. People pay us to receive regular updates about potential dangers in their daily lives. So we're making more money by helping humans avoid accidents than we ever did trying to kill them. Yes, sir. And our workplace injury rates have dropped to 0 since we're not losing assassins to improbable human-related incidents anymore. The chair being was quiet for a moment. Have we considered expanding into the insurance industry? The suggestion hung in the air for a long moment before the board erupted into murmurs of consideration. Insurance? One of the senior strategists tilted their eye stalks. You mean ensuring that humans don't accidentally kill themselves in increasingly bizarre ways? Precisely. The chair being leaned forward. We've seen firsthand that humans don't die when they should, but they do tend to injure themselves in ways so ridiculous that our analysts have given up trying to categorize them logically. If we can predict, or at least mitigate those incidents, there's an entirely new revenue stream waiting for us. It's brilliant, the junior agent chimed in, growing more animated. We already have an extensive database of human-related hazards from our assassination failures. If we repurpose that data into risk analysis, we could offer premium safety coverages, the Guild's Guide to Not Dying in Stupid Ways. We could even introduce a tiered plan. A senior board member cleared their throat. You mean like a basic plan covering everyday hazard-shot beverages, stray frisbees, slippery floors while the premium package covers, I don't know, spontaneous wormhole incidents and aggressive domestic felines? Exactly. The junior agent was practically vibrating. We could even offer an ultra-premium package-full hazard assessment, probability mapping, and a personal assistant drone that warns humans about imminent accidents before they even happen. The board sat in stunned silence before the chair being spoke again. Let's pilot this idea immediately. Assign a research team. I want a proposal drafted within the next cycle. If we can't kill them, we may as well profit from their continued survival. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Derek Thompson was once again blissfully unaware that his mere existence was influencing intergalactic policy. He was in the break room, pinning yet another letter to his refrigerator. Huh, he muttered, scratching his head. This one says I should avoid eating seafood from sketchy food trucks near cosmic anomalies. That's oddly specific. He considered it for a moment, then shrugged and went back to his crossword puzzle. Little did he know, his decision to heed that warning had just prevented the collapse of an entire temporal pocket dimension. Across the galaxy, Ambassador Kirix was pacing in his office, still coming to terms with the implications of human probability disruption. He had rewritten his species' diplomatic guidelines no fewer than 14 times in the last week, and still nothing felt sufficient. A chime sounded at his door. Enter, Kirix called, antennae twitching with residual stress. Director Madison strolled in, sipping from another coffee coupon he had long since accepted as a harbinger of galactic chaos. Hey Kirix, thought I'd check in. How's the existential crisis going? Kirix sighed. My people are now debating whether humans should be classified as a naturally occurring galactic anomaly or a fundamental force of nature. The Scientific Academy is considering adding human probability displacement as the fifth fundamental interaction alongside gravity, electromagnetism, strong nuclear, and weak nuclear forces. Madison whistled. Nice. If we make the official list, do we get a trophy? No, but it may mean that the laws of physics must now include a clause for... He hesitated, then gestured vaguely. Whatever it is you do. Madison grinned. I like the sound of that. Oh, by the way, we just got an official request from the Guild. They want to launch a joint human safety initiative. Turns out, they're making more money helping us not die than they ever did trying to kill us. Kirix stopped pacing. You're telling me the deadliest assassins in the galaxy are pivoting to human life insurance? Essentially, yeah. Madison took another sip of coffee. They even want to start a hotline. Guild Safe, your guide to surviving yourself. Kirix collapsed into his chair, burying his face in all four hands. I give up. Madison patted him on the shoulder. That's the spirit, buddy. Just embrace the chaos. She checked her watch. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a lunch meeting. I think I just accidentally made a reservation at a restaurant that doesn't exist yet. Should be interesting. As she sauntered out, Kirix exhaled deeply. I need another drink. Halfway across the galaxy, a panel of esteemed physicists stared at a whiteboard filled with impossibly tangled equations. One of them threw up his hands in frustration. I give up. The math says humans shouldn't exist. His colleague sighed. Well, apparently, nobody told the humans that.